Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the End Zone Enthusiasts, and it's time for us to do our picks. Now, looking at the bottom of our screen right there, right about there, I guess. Yeah. Our ranking, our picking it right now has been very good here. We are 25 correct and only 7 wrong. And a lot of the 7 wrongs have been like 50-50s. And I hate to say it, but this week we got the same battle here. But before we start, why are we the End Zone Enthusiasts? Well, we are coaster enthusiasts who also love the NFL. Notice all the stuff here, Pantheon and Banshee and all that. And also today's shirt, we always have a different shirt, is Clementon Park over right across the river from Philadelphia, which is my home team. And great little park there. They're closed now, but definitely check them out for next year. They got roller coasters, log flumes, and a fantastic water park there. But without further ado, let's go right into our picks here, all right? And the first game we're going to talk about is tonight, actually, because we always drop this on Thursday, the Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills. Now, the reality is these are two teams going totally different directions here. The Buffalo Bills won that epic game in week 1 against Baltimore and then took care of business last week against the Jets. So they're rolling right now. Josh Allen is playing fantastic. But the key right now, and I think the real big difference, is the way the defense is playing with Buffalo. They got run over pretty bad in week 1 up until the fourth quarter against Baltimore, and then they solidified it and then pretty much dominated the game against the Jets there. So their defense is stepping up. They're getting quicker. They're definitely working more together as a cohesive unit. So, and then of course you got Josh Allen, who does what Josh Allen does, but you can't forget about James Cook. That running back is definitely opened up so many different things, and it's not always on Josh Allen's shoulder, which is nice. Meanwhile, you got Miami at this point, who lost to Indianapolis early on, got blown out by Indianapolis, but we've learned that Indianapolis is legit. But then last week, they got into a battle with New England, and they came off on the wrong end there. So right now, everything seems to be going wrong with Miami. All right. The reality is Mike McDaniel, who is one of the most upbeat guys ever, just looks downtrodden. You've got a diva in the clubhouse with Tyreek Hill. You got Tua not doing what he's supposed to do. It's a team in shambles. So this one to me is very simple pick. The Bills are going to go 3-0. And there is actually a chance that if this is not a close game and if the players are not responding, that this could be Mike McDaniel's last game with Miami, which I'll be honest with you, after a while, when you build yourself on charisma and that kind of stuff there, and it starts going the other way, when you're winning, it builds on itself, and it's like a snowball going, right? But this is hard to believe that this is the same team that at one point scored 70 on Denver, which is one of the best defenses. So this one, pretty easy pick. Got to go with Buffalo Bills. Now, yet again, we have a lot of Sunday games, guys. They really are packing them up here, and they actually have four games. You have 8 games in the early window, 4 in the late window, and then, of course, the night game, and then only one Monday night this week. So first one we're going to talk about is the AFC battle, the Atlanta Falcons against the Carolina Panthers. And the reality is Carolina, everybody thought going into this year, they're going to take that step up. It was going to be one of those things where the first year was shaky, second year, there's a light at the end tunnel. Now Bryce Young is going to take it to the next level, and it has not happened. He lost his safety net with Thigman that basically went over to Minnesota as a safety valve there. They have a young offense there. Hubbard is doing what he can on the running attack there, but wide receiver-wise, there's really nothing there. Defense there, still a lot of problems there. I really like Dave Canales, but I really think that at this point, they got to start moving on from the Bryce Young experiment. If he has a bad game this week there should be a change. Meanwhile, Atlanta, they should have won the game against Tampa Bay, but Tampa came back there. They missed a field goal at the end there. They actually changed kickers who did not miss anything last week there. But they really manhandled who they were against last week there. They looked amazing. Just a fantastic game there. They basically decimated Minnesota. So that being said, this one's another easy one here. The Falcons going to move on with the win. Falcons going to beat Carolina. Carolina's down there with Miami where they got to get their stuff together. Their first 2 games were very shaky. So next one here is, I'm calling this a preseason game here because it's the Green Bay Packers against the Cleveland Browns. Now, Green Bay, I got to say it, they are the best team right now in the NFC. Now, of course, I'm an Eagles fan, so the fact that I admit that really tells you where I think Green Bay is, because the Eagles have not looked great. They're winning, but they haven't looked great. Meanwhile, Green Bay, they are looking fantastic. They have handled two playoff teams from last year, Detroit, which is a division rival, who literally owned them in their own home for 2 or 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years there. And then they went there and they just spanked the heck out of Washington, all right? They're going up against Cleveland, where their defense of Cleveland looks great, and they are going to have any chance of winning this game. They really need to have that defense do what they do. But offensively here, Flacco is playing mistake football right now, and that's why you're not supposed to be doing if you're the veteran there. They got rid of Kenny Pickett, so basically behind him is 2 rookies. So he's got the job unless he gets injured. But at this point, offensively, if you shut down Judy, you pretty much have him locked in there. So without further ado, Pac's going to be 3-0, and they may actually move into – they're number 3 right now in my power rankings. They could actually move up depending on what happens with the Eagles and if some chance Miami shows spine and beats Buffalo. But Pac 3-0 after this week. Next one is a big AFC South showdown. And how often do we say that? Seriously, when we talk about showdowns, it's like the AFC North or the NFC North or that kind of stuff there. Nobody talks about the AFC South of having a big matchup. But right now, Houston and Jacksonville are looking up at the Indianapolis Colts here. So both of this is a must-win game for both of these teams. Even though Jacksonville's 1-1, they kind of let that game get away from them there. And this is going to tell us a lot about the dynamic between Trevor Lawrence and the coach, all right? Because if they're not on the same page, I guess Trevor Lawrence still, because of how much he's getting paid and his potential, is still the guy to go with there. But they need to really work on their play call, and they need to get on the same page, him and Liam Cohen, all right? Meanwhile, you got Houston, which is 0-2. And to be honest with you, they were in the game with Tampa. They had the game they were ahead 2 minutes before the game ended. But the reality was they did not look good. And Tampa kind of let them back in the game. Houston's got some major problems. If you're able to shut down Collins, you basically shut down their passing game there. Their offensive line, they did nothing to help them out here. They tried, but really there's nothing to be shown for. The defense is really solid here. So basically, to me, this is a coin flip because you don't know what team's going to show up with Jacksonville and what team's going to show up with Houston. But I'm thinking at this point here, I'm going out on a limb, and I literally say it, going out on a limb, I think the Jaguars are going to take this game. I think offensively, there's more in the bullets, in the chamber with Jacksonville than there is with Houston. And even though the defense should be able to handle Lawrence and stuff like that, I think the running attack, Travis Henry is going to be getting better every week. And my guts is telling me it's going to be Jacksonville. Let's see if you're right. Now we got another tough call, but this is for the opposite reason. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals, who are now without Joe Burrow, and there's no hope. It's 3 months with no Burrow. There's no, he can come back in a week or two, kind of like Brock Purdy. No, here he's shut down. He is getting surgery. He is getting that toe repaired. Whatever happened to that toe, I don't even want to know. But stage 3 turf toe, yet again, stage 3 does not sound good. Turf toe sounds fun, but stage 3, no, he's gone. So you got the backup there going against the Vikings without JJ McCarthy. And the fact of the matter is JJ looked good for 1 quarter, but in that game against Atlanta, he looked lost. Even after he got hurt, he looked lost. So here you've got 2 backups. You got Browning against Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz just bounces around. I mean, I'm an Eagles fan. And that was the longest he stayed with the team. He bounced in Indianapolis. He bounced here, there. He's been all over the place. 6th team in 6 year, and 6th time he's on the field. So it's not just, he's on the team, but he never played. No, he's getting on the field for all 6 of these teams. So this comes down to which backup do you think is better? Because you got the number 1 wide receiver and number 2 wide receiver, and Chase and Jefferson, you can kind of jumping back and forward here. Jamar Chase, is he better? Is Justin Jefferson? You got the wide receivers, but you don't have the quarterbacks. So here you got to think, what quarterback is going to be confident enough to get it to the wide receivers? And for me, I think Browning is going to beat Wentz. I really think that Browning at this point has got – the problem is he's got a lot of experience because of how hurt that Burrow gets. But I think that experience is going to get him the ball. not just to Jefferson, but remember, you don't have a good second wide receiver right now for another week or two in Minnesota. So you got Higgins. Then Hockenberg is there, so he's good on with the tight end, but Gesicki's pretty good too. So I think it's going to come down to which backup quarterback's better. And believe it or not, I think the Bengals are going to be 3-0. Now, here we got another tough call. All right, there, another tough call. The Pittsburgh Steelers against the New England Patriots. Now, the Steelers at this point there, they look good in week 1. Week 2 did not do well. And the sad part about it wasn't the offense that hurt them, it was the defense. And the defense for Pittsburgh is usually a no-brainer. You always think that Pittsburgh's got that defense. I mean, they even got a roller coaster called Steel Curtain. That's how good their defense is. Going up against New England, who got the win last week against Miami. Yet again, is Miami good? Is Miami that bad? We don't know how that is. So this is a barometer game for both these teams. Is New England going to be taking that next step and being able to compete against solid teams? Not the best teams, but solid teams, that middle tier, which Pittsburgh is. And in Pittsburgh, you got Baltimore, who they a fluke loss there. You got Kansas City that is 2-0, maybe 3-0 if my pick comes through there. They can fall behind with this loss. So where's this going to go? It's going to be a close game, but my gut's telling me the Steelers are going to beat. I just don't think New England has gotten over that threshold yet. I could be wrong. This is a 50-50, 55-45. I'm going with Pittsburgh just because of Aaron Rodgers with the experience and the will he has to win. But Drake May, if you take this game, I can see that happen. I was wrong last week. I thought Miami was going to beat New England. Am I going to be wrong twice going with New England? We're going to find out. Next is the game of the week, guys. And yes, I know the Monday night game is fantastic, but if you're an NFC fan, last year, these two teams, the LA Rams played the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think the snow had a factor for Philadelphia pulling that off. So I think that really they match up really well. And I'll be honest with you, if the Philadelphia Eagles play the way they played the last couple of weeks so far this year, I think the Rams are going to take it. But I have to have hope that all the people getting on Jalen Hurts and getting on that offensive coordinator and about all the checkdowns and all the running and stuff like that, that they hear it and they put in some plays where you can get the ball to Dotson, you can get the ball to Brown, A.J. Brown, definitely, and, of course, keep on doing what you're doing with Smith. I think you've got to finally go vertical. You've just been dumping down, hand off to Saquon, hand off to A.J. Dillon, which, yet again, it was enough to beat Dallas, who, yet again, missed the ball. CJ, dropped the ball there, or that game is totally different. And then you had Kelsey drop that ball into an interception. You won, but you won not because of your offense. So hopefully the offense steps up. Defense was looking good last week. Still a little nervous about that second corner, which could be a problem here because you got Devontae Adams and you have Puka. So my brain's telling me go with the Rams. They're just a better team right now. But my heart, I'm going to go with the Birds. Go fly, Eagles, fly. But the reality is they really need to wake up offensively, or there's going to be a change in number one in the in our power rankings. All right. Now this is the one where you can't relax. Now, why am I saying can't relax? Well, it is the New York Jets. I'm going to give them a little respect there. Go New York Jets. They've earned it. Going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now the Buccaneers are 2-0. The Jets are 0-2. However, Tampa recently they had to come back and win against brain's freezing right now. They had to come back and win last week, basically against Houston. And then before that, they basically needed Koo to miss a field goal. So kind of like the Eagles, they're getting the W's, but they're not dominating. And I think that Baker really needs to dominate there. I think the offensive line, yet they're missing both tackles. Hopefully they cut one or two of them come back and solidify that line. And don't come back early. Come back when you're healthy, because you're not helping anybody like the tackle did yesterday if you're out after the first series and you had all the reps. So at this point, if you're not 100%, don't come back. If you're 80% or better, come back. But if you're playing to be the hero, don't be the hero, because all you're doing is really making it tough on Baker, and Baker's getting hit a lot. But going against the Jets are going to have Tyrod Taylor. And to be honest with you, I'm more nervous about Tyrod Taylor as a quarterback than Justin Fields. Tyrod has been a solid quarterback for the last decade, I think, at this point in the NFL. He's had some bad breaks where when he was number one, it didn't happen. He's making a great career as the backup. And to be honest with you, he is a very good backup. So with that being said, Tampa's going to play their best game here. But I think Baker plays with his heart, and he plays his heart out, and he's going to get that victory. So I'm going with Tampa. Yet again, the last two picks were coming from here, not from here, and it could burn me. Next one is this a bye week? Is this really a bye week? Because we already had that already with Green Bay playing Cleveland. Well, now Tennessee against Indianapolis. Indianapolis is playing way better. They are the surprise team. They're in my top. They're number 7, I believe, or number 8 in our top power rankings after 2 weeks, when most people consider them to be one of the bottom feeders of the league, going against Tennessee. And there's nothing against Cam. Cam is playing fantastic. He's got nothing again around him. And because of that, I think the coach, they really need to start looking at Callahan and find out, he needs to put together game plans. He needs to do, yet again, when you are a head coach, you got maybe 5 decisions to make in a game. Are you going for it on 4th down? Are you, going to kick the field goal there or going for, there's a couple little things there. And it seems like whatever Callahan does is the wrong call. Time management wise, it's very standard at this point when you take your timeouts and when you don't take your timeouts. And when you go off that, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday I watched, because I record these on Tuesday, I recorded the Tampa game, and the fact that they waited until there's 9 seconds left with 2 timeouts to do those last couple of plays, I was nervous. That I thought you should have left at least 16 seconds. That way, if there was a botched, handoff or something like that, you do timeouts. 9 seconds to me seemed a little bit off. But when it comes to that kind of stuff with Tennessee, we put a lot of hate on Will Levis last year because we're like, oh, he messed that up. It might have been coming from above too. It might not have just been Levis. So with that being said, I'm saying Danny Dimes is going 3-0. They're firing all cylinders. Yeah, they got lucky with that unique call, leverage against Denver. But the reality is they've been putting themselves in a position to win. Danny Dimes is playing smart football. He's like another Sam Darnold. He's not trying to win it. He's just doing what he does. And that's good enough in the league half the time. Now, next one is a roll of the dice. Vegas going against Washington. Now, Washington is not going to have Jaden Daniels. And that is a big factor there because Mariota is a very good backup. He was the Eagles' backup for a year, I believe, maybe 2. He's serviceable, but he doesn't have that it factor that Daniels has. And I really think what makes Washington what Washington is that it factor where things could break down and Daniels finds a way to make the play work. And I don't know if Mariota has that. Meanwhile, he's going up against Vegas, who just had a tough loss against the Chargers. But I think the Chargers are better than most people think. They have Geno Smith, who knows how to play. Hopefully, they get that running back going. And there's Jacoby Myers. He was an afterthought for most people, but he is legitimate number 1. So that being said, I'm saying Vegas is going to win the jackpot here. I think they're going to beat the Commanders, mainly because Daniels not there. If Daniels was playing, I go the opposite way. Next one is a battle for the AFC West. And really it is, because Kansas City at this point, they should win this week. We haven't discussed it yet, but they should win this week. But right now you got Denver at 1-1, and you got the Chargers at 3-0. And really whoever wins this is now the top dog in the AFC West. So you got Denver, who lost to, like I just said, leverage. Very unique way to lose. But the problem I saw was their defense was getting beat pretty well by the offensive line of Indianapolis and by Danny Dimes. Indiana Jones. Let's call him Indiana Jones now. Meanwhile, the Chargers have basically been doing what they need to do. The running attack has been solid. The defense has been solid. Herbert is finding his receivers. I think Keenan Allen, no offense to Mike Williams, who retired, but I think by him retiring, it really did help the team because Keenan Allen looks brand new. And, of course, you have McConkey. And there you can go, who's number 1, who's number 2. I think it's like 1A, 1B. They're that close. So going with this, I'm going to say the Bolts are going to be alone at the top. I just don't think Bo Nix can come back. And I don't think the defense is going to be able to hold back Herbert. So even though on paper they look like an even match, I think it's a 70-30, and I think it's going to be the Chargers. Next one here is the better than expected bowl. Seattle, I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about Seattle. They're all the way literally across the country in their own little world there. I know Sam Darnold had a really great year last year in Minnesota, but was that going to carry over when you don't have Justin Jefferson, Adelson, and all those guys there? But they won last week against the Steelers, and they won pretty well against the Steelers. Going against New Orleans, who, let's be honest, a lot of people think they're the worst team in the league, and they're definitely bottom 5. But Rattler is doing a lot better. You've got Kamara and you've got Olave. You've got talent on the offense there, and the defense at this point has been very solid. So, yeah, much better than expected, both of these teams. But I think Sam Darnold is finding his groove with Smith Enigma. And I really think that Seattle's going to take this one, and I don't think it's going to be close. Now let's go. The Who Really Cares Bowl. And that is very true for me because both of these teams I have zero care about. It is the Dallas Cowboys, which as an Eagles fan, they are, I think Grossi calls Minnesota the purple incarnation of Satan. Well, you know what? 1 out of 5 stars, the Dallas Cowboys. That's their Amazon rating. 1 star out of 5. Going up against Chicago, who I think reality is starting to hit Ben Johnson that you had it pretty good in Detroit. Jumping over there, Caleb Williams. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of these guys like Bryce Young and Caleb Williams, because they were drafted number 1, they get a lot more leeway than most people. Like Brock Purdy, if he had 1 or 2 bad games, he was done. They're moving on. Here, you spend a year and a half, and Caleb Williams is not looking good. He is not making great decisions. He's not making quick decisions when he does make them. And like I said, when Swift is your offense right now, and you can't blame the off. You're giving Caleb Williams everything there. He's not that great. So at that point, are you going to stick with him or not? So at this point, I got to go with Dallas. The boys are going to beat down the Bears, mainly because Dak Prescott, you know what you got with him. You got a winner. And then you've got Pickens and you've got CeeDee Lamb. You've got great wide receivers there. The running attack is definitely picking up. I'm a little nervous with Sanders, but they definitely been better than most people thought. I think it's not going to be close, and I think Chicago's going to be 0-3, and I think Johnson's got to look at himself and say, am I willing to die with Caleb? And that's legitimate. Next is, both are undefeated, but how? Seriously, San Francisco started off again with the injuries. Now, Brock Purdy may be back. He may not be back, but Mac Jones definitely showed that he can play there. Meanwhile, Arizona had won, and they don't have the injuries. It's just that they haven't played anybody yet. So who's legit here? Is the talent and the coaching of San Francisco going to outweigh the health and the talent that you got on the Cardinals there? And this shows me how much I'm not believing in the Cardinals, because I think Mac Jones is going to outplay Murray. I think Murray lives off yet again another number 1 draft pick. And because of that, he's definitely better than Bryce Young. He's definitely better than Caleb and stuff like that. But as an 0-1 pick, you got to be like a Jared Goff at this point, and he's not. He makes too many mistakes. He's exciting. Don't get me wrong. He's running around. He's doing his thing. He's exciting. But is it going to be enough to win? This could go either way, but I'm just saying that I think Shanahan's going to be better, and he's going to have a better game plan than the Cardinals. Now, Sunday night. Really? Even if both teams were 2-0 each, is this really a Sunday night game? I know in the past when I was growing up, because I'm old, Monday night was the night. And this week, it is the night. And Sunday, but historically, the Sunday night game is supposed to be the best. I mean, heck, you had Baltimore against Buffalo, right? This one here, it's going to be interesting. Now, the Giants played a lot better with Russell Wilson there. And they should have won, or they should have at least tied if it wasn't for Wilson making a mistake in overtime, throwing the stupid ball there. Meanwhile, Kansas City is not looking good, guys. Their defense just hasn't been able to shut down like they used to. Yet again, they played the Chargers, who had a bone to pick, and they played the Eagles, who's they did shut down the offense, but not enough to stop the 1 or 2 plays that it took for them to win. Offensively, you got no wide receivers here until Worthy gets back. Rice is a felon, so he's out 4 more weeks, at that point. Stupid move. It's bad enough that you're racing, but then you left the scene. I thought you should have had jail time for leaving the scene. Yet again, if you're any kind of adult and you get into an accident where two cars are wrecked, and then you run off like a freaking 12-year-old trick-or-treating, you're a kid, you're not a man. Yet again, he came through forward there. He should have gone there, made sure everybody was good. He should have called the cops himself. He should have found out how everybody was. That was a kid play. You messed up. You changed people's lives. I think you should be out of the NFL. I think if you're that stupid, you should be out of the NFL. But yet again, you have talent, just like Michael Vick did. You got a second chance. But with that being said, I think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people are thinking. But I just think that Mahomes, they need it more. They need this game and they need this victory or their season's done, because you're going to be 2 games, 3 games behind in your own division. You're not coming back at 0-3. You're not coming back at 0-3. So I think the Chiefs are going to win this game because they have no other choice. And last but not least is pretty much the other game of the week, Detroit against Baltimore. Both teams, horrible losses. You had the Baltimore loss to Buffalo last second. They had to fail miserably for that to happen. Meanwhile, Detroit just did not put their cleats on against Green Bay. But the following week, they both came back and they handled business. So this is really a great matchup. And this is another 50-50. But I'm going to go with the Ravens winning this in a tight one. I just think that, you got the 1-2 punch with Detroit, but I think Derrick Henry is going to be the deciding factor. I think it can go either way. I think defensively, Detroit has a slight advantage. And I think offensively, Lamar Jackson gives you a little bit more than Goff. But this will go either way. This is a 50-50 and a great game to end the weekend on there. So with that being said, that is the end of our week. So kick back tonight. You're going to kick back and watch Buffalo probably destroy Miami, or do something else because it might not be a great game. But on Tuesday, we're going to give you the wrap-up. Let's find out how we did for this week there. On Wednesday is our favorite day. We love the power rankings. And on Thursday, we're doing this again. So once again, guys, fly, Eagles, fly. Baker's got to bake. And Bills, just keep doing what you're doing.